Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dian from UIN Sunan Gunung Djati, Bandung. At this moment, I will present our research about comparison of decision tree C4.5 algorithm with k nearest neighbor algorithm in Hadith classification. This presentation is for the 6th International Conference on Computing, Engineering and Design 2020. Our teams are Glen Wahyudin, Yana Aditia Gerhana, me Dian Wahyudin Dharma Laksana, Nunik Destria Arianti, Ali Rahman, and Muhamad Musli. This is the contents of this presentation, begin from introduction, methodology, result and discussion, and the last conclusion. Introduction. The Muslim scholars try to make a concept formulation that can be used as a guide in the process of selection and categorization of the hadith, so that later Muslims can distinguish which hadith really originate from the Prophet Muhammad. It means Sahih, which hadith have a weak association, dhaif, and where the hadith has no validity at all or maudu. There are so many methods or techniques used by the previous Muslim scholars in carrying out the process of categorizing the hadith. For example, Imam At-Tirmidzi has a method of taking the hadith, and this research tries to classify the validity of the hadith using data mining technique. Data mining is a technique to get the inside knowledge from a large data. From many data mining methods, we use decision tree C4.5 and k nearest neighbor to classify the validity of hadith. Next, methodology. This is our research activities. So we have the text data of hadith in Indonesian text. Then we conduct the case folding, tokenizing, removing the stop words, and we conduct the stemming using Nazif-Adriani algorithm. And then we conduct the term frequency and inverse document frequency weighting, and we split the data to be training data and testing data. We conduct the classification process with decision tree C4.5 and k nearest neighbor algorithm. Then we get the result of classification of the validity of the hadith text. And this is also our research activity. In the text preprocessing, we begin from hadith translation and take the content of the hadith, giving the hadith class manually. So we give the label of the hadith. The label is Sahih, Dhaif, and Maudu. Then we have the data file of a hadith translation in Indonesian language and the process for text preparation. And this is our system architecture. So we have the system to classify the validity of hadith here. We have the directory file of document text of hadith. We have an internet network. We have decision tree C4.5 and k nearest neighbor algorithm to process the classification of validity of hadith, and we have a user that used the system. This is the algorithm of decision tree C4.5 and k nearest neighbor. For decision tree C4.5 algorithm begin from select an attribute as root, and we have the gain formula here and entropy formula here. Then we make a branch for each value. We divide existing cases into the branch, and we repeat the entire process for each branch until all cases in the branch have the same class. And this is the k-nearest neighbor algorithm. Begin from load the data, initialize the k value, then we sort the ordered collection of distance from the smallest to the largest, and pick the first k entries from the sorted collection, and get the labels of selected k entries if regression, then return the mean of the k labels if classification, then return the mode of the k labels. And this is our result and discussion. For this result, we use 100 translation data of a Hadith at-Tirmizi in Indonesian text, and we have 5 scenarios for divide the training data and testing data to determine the classification of Hadith text. This training data and testing data are divided randomly, such as we have 900 training data and 100 training data. Then we have 800 training data and 200 training data until we have 500 training data and 500 testing data. And this is the graphic visualization of time process comparison between decision tree C4.5 and k nearest neighbor. And then this is the comparison of accuracy level of decision tree C4.5 and k nearest neighbor algorithm. Then we have the level of accuracy generated by decision tree C4.5 algorithm has an accuracy rate around 70.53%, whereas the level of accuracy that produced by k nearest neighbor algorithm is around 66.36%. It means that decision tree C4.5 is better than k nearest neighbor in classifying the hadith validity. And for the average processing time that produced by decision tree algorithm is around 0.083 seconds, whereas the processing time that produced by the k nearest neighbor algorithm is around 0.033 seconds. It means that k nearest neighbor faster than decision tree. And the last conclusion, a comparison of the performance of the decision tree C4.5 algorithm and k nearest neighbor algorithm for classifying the validity of hadith from Imam at-Tirmizi's hadith has been successfully carried out. And the process for this classification began from the hadith translation text document, and we give the label for each text document of hadith. Then, before entering the prediction or classification stage, we conduct the text preprocessing, and we conduct the term frequency and inverse document frequency weighting for each term or word in the document. And then we divide the text document into the training data and testing data with several scenarios for experiment. And then we conduct the classification using decision tree C4.5 and k-nearest neighbor for uh, for classifying the validity of hadith. And the accuracy produced by decision tree C4.5 algorithm is around 70.53%, and the accuracy of k-nearest neighbor is around 66.36%. It means that decision tree C4.5 is better than k-nearest neighbor in classifying the validity of hadith. Then the average processing time that produced by decision tree C4.5 algorithm is around 0.083 seconds, while the average processing time that produced by the k-nearest neighbor algorithm is around 0.033 seconds. It means that k-nearest neighbor is faster than decision tree. This is our references, and that's all my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.